What is up, everybody? It is your local Ottawa fan. I am here today to talk to you about the 3-2 overtime loss to Toronto Maple Leafs in Game 3 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Ottawa Senators are now down 3-0 in the series, with two of their losses having been 3-2 overtime losses. Yeah, this easily could be a 2-1 series lead. It's not. And I'm tired of hearing that. I said we needed to win this game. I said losing in overtime isn't enough anymore. When you're down 2-0, back against the wall, you gotta dig deep. You gotta find a way. We didn't. And now we're on the brink of elimination. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think we win this series. Now, as a fan, I still have faith. So, did me and my buddies say, we're going to put a wager on it, on the Sens winning the cup? Of course we did. You gotta, I am of the belief that you gotta have faith in your team until they are out. So until the Sens are officially eliminated, I'm still going to believe. But there's the realistic and fan belief. The fan belief is saying, nah, we're still good. Well, maybe we're not good, but we're going to win Game 4. We aren't going to get swept. And then once we've won Game 4, all we need to do is beat Toronto at home, and then momentum shifts. Or, if Toronto loses a home game, then everything changes, and all of a sudden, we'll run away with it. That's what the fan part of me is saying. The realistic part of me is saying we might win Game 4. It is going to be a mountain to climb to win Game 5 in Toronto, down 3-1. And even if we do that, we've already lost at home once. We would need to again win. And okay, sure, great. We win Game 4, the fans pack the CTC like they did tonight. I'm going to talk about that. And the boys find a way. They dig deep and they get the win that we so desperately need. And then we actually beat Toronto in Toronto. The series shifts back to Ottawa. We get another home win with another strong crowd. We still aren't done. Toronto would have a fourth. 4 chances. That's the thing. That's why I wanted us to get to Game 6 without being down. Like, the quicker you get to 3 wins, the more chances you have to end the series. Look at Florida last year. They won their first 3 games. They had 4 chances. They dropped 3 of 4 and were fine. They lost 3 in a row and won the cup. And it puts us in a tough position because, it's a good team that we're facing. I get the whole, it's Toronto in the playoffs. First off, blowing a 2-0 lead and blowing a 3-0 lead are very different. Worlds apart. A 2-0 lead that you got at home can be wiped away if you lose 2 games as the away team. And then it's a whole new series. A 3-0 lead has only been wiped out 5% of the time. 5%. Of every single instance of a team going up 3-0, 5% of the time has it gone to Game 7. Only 2% of the time. Only 4 times. There have been 4 instances. So all of National Hockey League history, dating all the way back to the 40s, 1942, when, ironically enough, the Leafs did it. 4 instances. 4 of a team being down 3-0, being down in a hole of 3-0, and coming back and winning the series. We went from unlikely to historic is what we did. We would be the first team in over a decade. The last time a team came down from 3-0 in a series to win was 2014 when the Kings did it. Now, yeah, that Kings team was down 3-0 in round 1, came back, won the series, went all the way to win the cup. It's not impossible. That 1942 Leafs team, guess what round they did that in? The finals. They won the cup. It's not impossible, but it is as close to impossible. It's It is a very, 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 very small group. And it sucks. And it rules that it sucks. That's one thing. I feel pain as a result of this hockey game. And pain is better than apathy. It hurts more. Way more. In the moment, it feels worse. Way worse. But I'm glad this team can hurt me. Does that make sense? Especially at this point. I'm glad I can feel this way. Because 3 years ago, fat chance. 3 years ago, the pain didn't really have a moment to set in. We would have a really bad November, and it was hard to pinpoint an exact game where you went from hopeful to not. It was a slow burn, and a lot of people by the end of November tuned out. Most casual fans didn't care. I can tell you this. I'm starting to be a school teacher. In my school, the past week, I have seen like a significant amount. I'd say like at least, 10 people wearing Sens jerseys as part of the staff. That's excluding all the kids that are wearing stuff. And I didn't see that before. I did not see people going around in Sens jerseys nearly as often. I've seen the flags on the cars. I've seen people on non-game days walking around town wearing their Sens jersey. People can rep this with pride again. Which is why getting swept by your most bitter rival is like the worst way to go. Again, the Leafs were expected to win this series. I am of the belief that if you made this a series, if you win game 4, it's not enough. Losing in 5 when you were down 3-0, a gentleman's sweep isn't enough. You at least need to get them back home. And the thing is, if you get them back home, I think at game 6, you better win the series, right? This was a must-win game. Because if we win, it is a 2-1 series, and we're right back in it. We can win game 4. We can tie the series. Even if we lose game 4, we can win game 5. We're right back in it. Now we can't do anything wrong. A mistake, and we're done. One off game, one bad night, we're gone. That's it. No opportunity to change your lines, to debate who should be starting. That's it. Win or lose. Your only options are to win or to lose. Win and extend your season by 1 game. Losing, you go home. That's it. Once you lose, you're done, you're out. And when that goal went, I can show you what I did. When Toronto scored, I just did this. And I was like that for a few minutes. I was watching the game with some buddies. One who's not as much of a Sens, actually a Bruins fan. And he was just like, what? He was surprised, and my other friend was kind of how I feel right now still. All my friends that follow this team, yeah, we were in shock and awe in the worst way. But I haven't been in shock and awe in the worst way in a long time with this team. And when we did lose, it kind of felt expected. When we had another bad November or a bad March, it was like just typical Ottawa Senators. Doesn't hurt me anymore. And in April, who cares? The final month of the NHL, I haven't cared in a while. Like, I'd still watched and went to the games, but I didn't really care the result. Like, if we win, great, hey, I got to see us win. And if we lost, well, that's good for, our draft, I guess. I was already in next season mode, and right now I care. Right now, when the Sens lose, it is the worst. It stinks. And it's Toronto. I mean, Red Blacks lost to Toronto now. The Sens are on the brink of losing to Toronto. It's not good. I'm not happy. But it's a pain that reminds you why you love the sport. Why you watch. Because that pain is coupled with hope. The hope that one day this team will win. They'll do it. it's there. It exists. Maybe not as potent as, it was going into game 1. But it is first to 4, not first to 3. I think game 4 is must win in a different way. I think regardless of series outcome, you need to win game 4. You can lose in 5. You need to get a win. You need to get a win in front of the fans. You cannot make us wait 8 years to get swept, to not get a win. I think that the Sens need to come out and put everything on the line. And this is a series where I felt we've played good. At times, I felt we outplayed Toronto. This game, I felt there were significant opportunities to win this game, but Toronto just looks like the team that's been here, right? That has some of the playoff pedigree. I will say, watching this series, I'm fully convinced that Florida is going to walk all over whoever wins. I think the Battle of Florida is, the battle of who goes to the conference finals. Based off of how these two teams have played, I have a tough time seeing either of them getting through Florida. And if Tampa beats Florida, I have even tougher time seeing either of these teams beating the team that beat Florida. It's tough for me to see that, because the good news, and there's some good news. First off, 2 overtime games, 2 games decided by overtime is a good sign for a team that's back in the playoffs for the first time in 8 years. It means that we can go toe-to-toe. You just got to get some wins, If we won game 2 or game 3, if we won one of them and lost the other in overtime, I'd still be feeling confident. I'd still be saying, good. We're going toe-to-toe. We're matching up well. And you're not going to win every game, especially against a team that has this experience, that no longer has Sheldon Keefe, but Craig Berube behind the bench. That's scary. Don't get me wrong. The Leafs aren't a joke. As much as it's easy to make jokes, as much as, yes, if the Panthers win in 4 over Toronto, everyone's going to be making jokes. Everyone's going to be laughing, of course. But they're a serious team, and they are a legit threat. And they aren't an easy, that's the thing. I didn't want us to be an easy out. They sure aren't. And they won't be. And they will put up a fight. And that's just I think that, when I'm saying, Florida would walk all over them, I think when it comes to the clutch moments, Florida is leaps and bounds ahead, and I think that Toronto would need to win games early to beat Florida. I think the longer the game goes on and it's close, the harder it's going to be for Toronto to win. And I mean, you're looking at this series, that's probably where Ottawa's at, where, we had some clutch moments, but not enough. But back to, vibes. This was great to see. I can't tell you how happy I was to see that sea of red. For every Toronto fan that's, pounding their chest and laughing about how they're going to win the series, what they can't laugh about is, in our second home. No. We showed up. And if you have tickets to game 4, don't say, the series is done. No, you better go. You better not sell to a Leaf fan. Because that was an overwhelming majority. Like what I thought would happen. There were not a lot of... there were Leaf fans there, obviously. But it wasn't an insane amount. There were no Go Leafs Go chants that I could make out watching the TV. I couldn't make out Go Leafs Go chants. They got completely overpowered by Go Sens Go chants, by Matthews sucks chants, by Matthews balding chants, which is hilarious, by the way, and a really good one. I remember there were a lot of Leafs fans being like, "Wow, Matthews sucks. Really? How original!" And then it's like everyone in the stadium was reading the r/hockey game day thread and was like, "Oh, you're right. Let's do something original." And then that said Matthews balding. That's hilarious. And there's no way that chant gets off the ground in the past few seasons. Because the second some Sens fans try to make a chant like that, they would get booed, shouted down by the 40 to 70% Leafs fans that would be at the game. This was a Sens home game. We proved that, we can make that stand. You know, we face the Leafs in the playoffs. It's going to be 2 away games for Toronto minimum. They're not going to just get to overrun our building. For all the Leafs fans that thought they were going to do that, they very evidently did not. They very obviously did not. It was strong majority Ottawa fans. There were more Leafs fans than I would have liked, sure, but also it's the Leafs, and there's a lot of Leafs fans that live in Ottawa anyways. This looked like a home game. A home game against, you know, a team that will get pockets of fans, sure. You know, maybe like, not a home game against a team like, say, Nashville. Against Nashville, it's going to be like 90% Ottawa fans or more. But this felt like a home game against, you know, a regular team that, you know, is in our division, but not, you know, Toronto or Montreal, you know? Felt like a Detroit or Boston game. You know, you see large pockets of Boston fans, but you don't hear "Go Bruins Go" chants when the Sens play the Bruins. You know what I mean? Like, it's still a strong majority of Ottawa fans. You know, you just have pockets of yellow. That's what this game was, pockets of blue. And this is why getting swept would really suck. Because we showed up, this team's played good. That Kachuk goal, I mean, Giroux scores the first goal on a 5-on-3, nearly blows the roof off the building. We're up 1-0, first lead. First time we've ever had a lead all series. Things are great. Penalties. I mean, we have been awful on the PK, and it burns us, and the Leafs tie it. And then early in the third, Matthews takes the lead. I don't know what Allmark was doing, but it was not it. And he lets an easy one go in, one that you can't let in the playoffs. And it was starting to look like we were done. And then Brady with a big goal to tie it up 2-2. I remember when they showed that crowd after the 2 Sens goals, how like everyone was standing. Peculiar. I was told there would be plenty of Leaf fans at the game, yet it seems like basically the entire stadium is standing, save for a few pockets here and there. It was great. I felt like after the goal, we were playing the better game. And it went to overtime, and both overtime games, I felt we made a mistake that just can't happen. Our faceoffs have been horrible. They've been horrible all series. And in overtime, last game, Batherson made a really bad decision. And it led to a turnover and, gets scored on. We lose game 2. This game, it was a lost face-off and a shot that, I'm sorry, Allmark needs to have that. And the reason why I say that is because if the same situation was reversed, if the Sens won that face-off and had that shot, tell me, in all sincerity, you think Stolarz lets that in? I don't. And we're losing the goaltending battle, and we need to win the goaltending battle, I think, above all else. Because especially when 2 of your games have been decided by 1 goal, you need to win that. And taking penalties is like a complete no-go zone now. It's going to be tough. And we're going to need to play the best game we've ever played. The best game this team has ever played in their lives if we want to extend the game. And at the very worst, give the fans a good send-off. Because let's be honest. If we win in Game 4, we get to do that. If we win Game 4, 1 of 2 things happens. That's our last game at the Canadian Tire Center. And it's a win in front of the home crowd. And you know what? You inspire a little bit of hope before we lose Game 5. Or you do get another game at the Canadian Tire Center. And honestly, if down 3-0, you get to Game 6, you just get there. Even if you lose, we're going to be proud. I'm still happy that we got to the playoffs. I know that there have been some people being like, getting swept is worse than missing the playoffs. No, it's not. It's not. This is better than missing the playoffs. But I can assure you that it would be even better if it's a competitive series. And even if it's by the thinnest of margins, even if it's by winning games 4 and 5 and then losing in 6, if we win Game 4, the fans get a good send-off. Because they either win Game 4 and that's the last we see of them before next season, or we get to Game 6. And irregardless of the outcome, we'll be proud. But getting swept puts us a little behind schedule, because then next year becomes the year where we need to get our licks and just try to win a round. You know, if this is a competitive round, then next year we're talking about, okay, now we need to win at least one round. And then the year after that is when we start talking about, you know, competing for a cup. You get swept, then next year we're like, okay, now we need to make round one competitive and try to win it, and, you know, win or lose, just, you know, make it competitive. If we can make this round competitive, or, you know, I don't know if I say if we could or if we could have at this point, but if this is a competitive series, then next season we talk about winning. But now I'm worried next season is going to be about staying competitive, you know. This sucks, but this sucks a whole lot less than not caring. And as always, go Ottawa, go.